Do you want to know which teams have the best fixtures in the next 5 game weeks? I'm going to show you those teams, go through their fixtures and look at the best options in each side. Hi Fantasy Managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video we are going to look at some of the teams to target who have the best fixtures for the next 5 game weeks and in some cases beyond. This is going to be very much a whistle-stop tour. If you're used to this channel and more in-depth analysis of the players, then you need to go back and check out our watch list coming up later on in the week and also the wildcard video released. This video we're going to give you some of the best players from some of the best fixtures. If you're obviously new around here, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the FPL content. In the meantime, let's get into it. First up then, we're not messing around. We go straight to Manchester City. You could almost argue they're fixture proof no matter who they play for. This season, a quick analysis of their data, 22 goals, that's the 4th best in the Premier League. Expected goals they to score, so in terms of creating chances, how many they should be putting away each game, 2.2, that's the 2nd best in the division against a really good defence. As we know, 6 goals in 11 games. They're not even the best defence in the league in terms of how many they conceded, 2nd beyond Chelsea. In terms of how many they should be conceding a game, the chances that they concede, 0.7, that is the best. So actually, statistically, even though they conceded 6, expected wise, they are the best defence. Looking at those fixtures, it's not a sea of green. You got Everton at home. Could argue, Watford put 5 past Everton the other day. That's perhaps not a grey, could be a green. West Ham, obviously they're flying at home, but they concede goals. Villa, we're not quite sure what we're going to expect of them under Steven Gerrard. Watford and Wolves look like nice, appealing fixtures. The attraction with Manchester City is beyond these fixtures, which take us into the middle of December. They also play Leeds, Brentford, Newcastle before the next wildcard is activated. Some people call that New Year. So before then, they've got a great run of fixtures. So I have got an eye on them in terms of the medium to longer term, and as opposed to just the short term. Obvious assets to bring in, no surprises here. Phil Foden, he's playing every game, 8.3, slightly more expensive than the other Man City assets, but he has been playing very far forward. Bernardo Silva getting so many minutes as well, 7.1. Gundogan, back in favour. We know how explosive and we know how much Pep's loved him from last year. Then you've got Cancelo. With that defence, he is finally in that last fixture getting a couple of assists, sort of returning or getting some of those returns that he constantly promises to do. And then there's an option as, again, differential. He's the only one who's last as a striker out of all these. Playing on the right wing at the moment, obviously, for Man City. But he's playing so many minutes. He only missed 1 game. 8.7. He's the most expensive asset of all of them. But Manchester City, just for those fixtures, defensively, midfielder up front, they're all appealing. I just feel you must have at least 2 Man City assets. If you haven't already got Cancelo, he's got to be a real thorn in your side because he's picking up so many points. But that's Manchester City. Tottenham Hotspur next. So far this season has been pretty uninspirational. Only 9 goals scored in 11 games. For a strike force of Son, Kane, you got Lucas Moura, Dele Alli has been in and out the side. Wow, it's only scored 9 goals. That's the 2nd worst in the division. Their expected goals, how many chances they're creating, obviously that's not much better. 1 per game, 16th out of all Premier League sides. That's pretty stark and horrible to look at from a Tottenham point of view. Against 16 goals conceded. When you consider the first 3 games, they managed to keep 3 clean sheets. That's a real downfall. 11th best in the division, so about mid-table. Same in terms of goals conceded, expected per 90 minutes, 12th in the table. But looking at those fixtures, obviously Conte coming in now, what difference is he going to make? Leeds, Burnley, Brentford, Norwich and then Brighton away. You couldn't really ask for a nicer set of fixtures in the current climate than that. The fact that we now know Harry Kane's scoring goals for England, can he transform that into his Tottenham sort of side? How are they going to fare? In terms of looking at their assets and who to bring in, I think it's the obvious choice of the two. I've put Reguilón. If Conte can get them as tight as they were in that first 3 games, even though they were conceding chances, they weren't actually conceding goals, then he's got to be a possible option. 5 million, he's such an attacking fullback. Definitely would be on my watch list for the time being. Son, obvious choice, nailed playing very forward in the side, which could be really attacking under Conte. And then you've got Harry Kane, the obvious choice. Those three, the only real three that stick out for me at the moment. There's no one else. I mean, possibly Lucas Moura, but I'd like to see what sort of minutes he's going to get under Conte first. But otherwise, Tottenham, with those fixtures, I mean, they're all differentials at this moment in time, especially the Kane and Son, really tempting. Leicester City then, let's have a look at them. They scored 16 goals this season, 7th in terms of overall goals scored against. They conceded quite a few goals this season. I think they haven't kept a clean sheet since the opening day of the season. So they're 15th, so they're quite a long way down. Irrespective of how many goals they should have conceded, they're probably conceding more than they perhaps would be expected to, given the chances created against them. So they sit 11th there. But then again, they have scored more goals than they perhaps should, given the chances they created. So in terms of the Chelsea game coming up next, that looks like a really hard game. I certainly wouldn't want to be transferring any Leicester players in for this game week, but I'll be looking at beyond. Watford at home, they seem like a team to target at the moment. Southampton away, that defensively sound to me much better this season. We're not sure what to get from Villa. Newcastle, new manager as well. There's so many changes in management and defence is doing better. Obviously, that it's just hard to know what to expect. Not only have we got the Tottenham new manager, Watford, Villa and Newcastle, obviously all with new managers as well. But if the question, I suppose, is if you're not going to target those teams, who are you going to target? So those green fixtures look nice for Leicester. They continue to look nice going up into the end of Christmas as well. In terms of players that you'd be interested in, I've put Castagna on there, but he was such a good force at the end of last season. He was so attacking in that Leicester side, getting attacking returns. We've seen what he can do with Belgium in the Euros as well. 5.3, I think he's a good price. If he can get anywhere near those sort of standards that he set last year, he is getting the minutes for Leicester, so that's encouraging. We'll have to keep it. He's not the one I'd be looking to bring in straight away. Especially the problem with Castagna is there's so many other good defensive assets out there. How do you fit someone like Castagna in? Definitely a differential, but with those fixtures, possibly worth looking at. In terms of Maddison, we know Brendan Rodgers loves him. If he's fit, he plays. I think that goes the same with Harvey Barnes at the end. Cheaper option, he does. If he's fit, he gets in that side, and he started to return last game as well. So he's an interesting one, Harvey Barnes. Lots of people looking at him at the start of the season, not really interested in him since then because he hasn't produced anything. I'd certainly have him on my watch list to have a look at. Tempting to bring in. Jamie Vardy's there. He's an obvious choice. Frustrated a lot of managers over the last 3 or 4 games, myself included. Do you hold him through that Chelsea game, or do you jump off him now? With those green fixtures, it's very, very tempting to keep him for that Chelsea game, but not expect much from him. But then again, it's Vardy. We know he scored 3 goals at the Etihad. He can score on a big occasion. We know how good he is. In fact, he's been rested in particular to save him for these Premier League games is encouraging, but he's not a cheap price. But so far this season, 7 goals? It's still a good return for him. 10.8, we know what he can do, but he's still a good option. Manchester United then, let's have a look at those. 19 goals are scored this season, 5th highest in the Premier League. They have been a little bit leaky, 17 goals conceded, that's mid-table, almost bottom half, 13th. In terms of expected to concede goals, even worse, they haven't conceded as many as they probably should have, given the chances they're shedding. 16th, that's almost sort of relegation zone, and they've actually scored more than they probably would have or should have been expected given the chances, so they're 6th in terms of the table there. We know what a great attacking side they can be, Manchester United. Their fixtures look great. We've got Watford away, Chelsea, that's a difficult one, Arsenal at home, then you've got Palace, Norwich. Fixtures beyond that up until Christmas look brilliant for Manchester United as well. There are the obvious candidates and choices. Marcus Rashford coming back into the side from fitness. The fact he didn't play for England actually encourages me a little bit. I like the fact that he's had that extra rest. So 9.4, he's not cheap. That's the only issue with that Rashford. But he does play. You know he plays. He gets involved. He's already got some good returns and his XGI looks brilliant. Ronaldo, he's a player away at Watford this weekend. I'm on Vardy at the moment. A temptation is Vardy's got great fixtures, but so has Ronaldo. I mean, I am so tempted to go Vardy to Ronaldo, then back to Vardy for the following game, and then also back to Ronaldo again. It feels like a complete waste of transfers, but I do have quite a strong bench, so it's possible I can do that. But Ronaldo away at Watford even this weekend, can I risk not having him? So expensive as we know, But what if he fires? He can be so explosive, take so many shots in and around the box. And if Man United are on form, it's going to be Ronaldo getting involved. So he's such an important player, highly owned as well. He's one I've not got on yet, but now may be the time to do it. In terms of other players, I've put Luke Shaw down. Defensively, they have been weak this season, but he's nailed on in that left-back area. There's a slight flag or worry on him. Expecting him to play, they'll have to keep an eye on the press conferences for that. But great asset at the start of the season. Played some difficult games, much better run of fixtures. You would expect Manchester United to keep 1 or 2 clean sheets. But again, the same problem in terms of the other defenders we looked at. So many Manchester City and Chelsea assets look so good defensively. The likes of Livramento, it's difficult to find another player to stick in that defence. But Shaw's an option. He would be a little bit of a differential. A lot of people have got rid of him. But he is an option in defence. Not one I'm seriously considering. Out of all three, Ronaldo seems to be the one that I would be going for, putting Rashford on the watch list for now. Newcastle United then is the last team we're going to look at. Scored 12 goals, 14th in terms of goals scored. They are second from bottom. They've conceded 24 goals. That is pretty much what they expected to concede, 1.9 a game. Also, in terms of actually scoring goals, they're expected to be again 19th, not 14th, which they are. So they perhaps overperformed in terms of the goal they've scored. So why on earth are we even looking at this side? They've not won a game. They sit bottom of the Premier League. Sorry, Newcastle fans. Those are the facts. Brentford at home. Brentford a little bit out of sorts. We've got Arsenal away, Norwich and Burnley at home. So 3 of the next 4 games are at home. They're against sides that they would be hoping to pick some points up against. Get that first game home win under the season under their belt. Eddie Howe effect, you can't rule that out as well. New manager, takeover, everything like that. Would I expect them to win all those games? I don't think I would. Would I expect to score in those games? Yeah, I think so. Not sure about the Arsenal away game, but the other 3 games, yes, definitely. It'd be interesting to see how Eddie Howe approaches those games. You'd feel that he's not going to be quite as reticent, and that wasn't his style, to be fair, under Bournemouth. They played attractive, flowing, attacking football. He's got the players to do it. So who would we jump on in terms of that Newcastle side? First one thrown in is Manquillo. He's been playing. 4 million just seems like an outrageously cheap price. Obviously, Newcastle just not keeping the clean sheets. So that's the main problem there. And also, Jacob Murphy came into his place last game. So, as a complete left field one, I thought I'd throw him in. I'm not sure how much credence I'd give him. But if he plays 4 million, if Newcastle can turn the corner, potentially, possibly, I'd tentatively put him on my watch list. The 2 main people I would be looking at is clearly Callum Wilson and Saint Maximin. 7.3, 6.8. So, reasonably priced players. We know how good they are. They're nailed on. Wilson takes penalties as well. So those possibly good options for the next 3 games as budget strikers, especially when they've got likes of DCL still out, Bamford not playing, Lukaku, we're not sure when he's coming back. So as a budget player to go alongside maybe someone like Kane and Ronaldo, one of these 2 would be a nice option. Callum Wilson, 7.3. We know how dangerous he is. Always just amused me the story he told his children a few years ago, I think when he was at Bournemouth and he was out injured for a good part of 18 months. And his children didn't even realise he played Premier League football, and he was just having to convince them that, yeah, I am a Premier League player. And they just didn't believe him. I'm sure they believe him now. 7.3, scoring goals for Newcastle. Had a great career so far. Saint Maximin, we know what a talented player he is. As a budget player, as a budget striker playing against those sides, I think I would be really interested in these guys. The only problem, I suppose, is you've got lots of Hwang, maybe Broha, King, slightly cheaper, but I think Newcastle players, Wilson and St. Maximin, do offer slightly more, especially at home to those fixtures. Riding the crest of a wave, it's possibly a good differential. Yeah, I like the look of both of those. Before you disappear, smash that like button, click on the subscribe if you enjoy the FPL content. Plenty more coming. There's team selection stuff. There's also a watch list. Check out the wildcard video. In the meantime, guys, take care. See you soon.